be a personal gift to all of you for welcoming me back for 2 or 3 times.
So thank you so much. I want to thank, who here is part of the Black Awareness and Anti-Racist Reading Group? That's Jennifer and President Martin. Gosh, I want to thank those for raising their hand. They're becoming super conscious allies by doing this heavy-duty reading and not requiring us to do the education. So we do encourage everybody to do the same, and thank you for doing that. But in this donation for this year, it's not formally started, but I do want to start a scholarship for Black students at UC Berkeley. We're very few in number now. But this year, anything donated, we're going to have the bucket to go around for this. It's what was described last week. Right, so Sue was shaking her head, please give to this, right? She's got 2 thumbs up. And it's called the California Legends Collective. And they are going to Los Angeles, and the students need money to go and travel. So that was discussed last week by Coach Smith if you weren't here. If you have questions about it, it's an amazing program, and it allows student scholar athletes to attend a large event representing UC Berkeley. So please do give to that for this year. And the future year, it will be 2 scholarships, a male student and a female student, who are often not able to complete school at Berkeley because of the financial strain.
All right, table 2B.
Your student at Berkeley. She's a pre-med student living over at the Clark campus, the former deaf and blind school. And she's a charmer. We're lucky to have her. Now, I also have an announcement to make to remind you that we have an event where you can go together with our group to the UC Berkeley baseball game on March 19th against USC. So shoot me an email if you would like a ticket. Thanks.
We're going to name the tables today with various Black inventors. So each of the tables, and I think we have a total of 10. So some tables have 2 numbers. So there are some inventors that might be at the same table, but I'm going to do multiple tables with 1A and 1B. And so like it says, and what we want is we want each person at the table, or the table as a whole, to tell us what that person invented. So table 4B, your Black inventor is George W. Carver.
He was a well-known agricultural agronomist who worked on peanut varieties, and Google helped us learn that he was doing that in part because he was looking for alternatives to cotton. So,
That's correct.
and he was very famous.
Absolutely. Very good. Very good. All right. Well, I'm going to turn it back over to our co-host, Moni.
Berkeley's population in Black and white, I just went through the census and you can see the numbers rapidly declining, and that's what started this film project. When I said to Mayor Gus, where did all the Black people go? Because I came back 12 years ago and it doesn't look the same. So those numbers, I think, are not beneficial to a city that describes itself as vibrant, diverse, and an open space safe for everyone to live. So most of you know what redlining is, right? Like everybody knows what redlining was. My parents experienced it. They were qualified until they showed up and they saw they were Black. And there are also districts where they would eliminate you for consideration at the bank, and they redlined that neighborhood, and they would steer you, racially steering you to a different neighborhood, which was South Berkeley at the time. Who knows what sunset laws are? A few people, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of you. So a sunset law was in operation essentially in Berkeley, where you could not go east of what was then Grove, which is now Martin Luther King Way, after dark. If you did, and you were Black, you would get arrested. So people who were employed in the hills as service workers and university staff, they couldn't come across that line. So they're called sunset laws, and they were in operation throughout the United States as late into the 60s. Laws get passed in the late 60s. They don't get implemented because people don't follow them. Then there's also, we know about racially restrictive covenants. Who has, I think, who's a realtor here? There are 2 or 3 realtors in our club, and you've seen them still listed in your deeds when you're selling a property. It'll say, do not sell to this property to blacks, Jews, sometimes they add Japanese or Hindu or Indians, right? And Mexicans. So Michelle would be excluded, I would be excluded, any of us that, and I just love that Margot Smith, the advocate for all good just causes, she showed up at a homeless students organization on UC Berkeley campus and started offering a room in her house for students who were unhoused at UC Berkeley. So Margot Smith found on her deed that it says, do not sell to blacks or Jews, I think it said. So when you have institutionalized racism, you have the disparities that we have today. A teacher, a white teacher, bought a house in Elmwood, but he rented it to a black tenant who was also a student. The police chief of Berkeley called on the FBI to investigate this white owner for violating the racially restricted covenant and allowing a black person in the neighborhood. So they sought to charge the white men for outrageously renting to a black person who had every right to rent there. And also other people, you've probably heard examples where a white person would buy the property for a black family because they were not legally allowed to buy the property. So that occurred. But I'm going to take questions. Sorry to see you have your mic up there.
You can see some of these deed restrictions. And the one that caught me and blew me away was, it said, this property cannot be occupied by anyone of African or Asian descent unless in the capacity of a domestic. And then, of course, it would say, you know, laws have been changed, this is no longer valid. But there were realtors in town who were very active in trying to make sure that people lived where they were supposed to. Prop 14, of course, in the 60s was one of the issues.
Describe what that was.
Yeah, do you have the right to sell your house to whoever you want? There was a big debate about that in 64, 65, and of course Rumford helped solve that issue. But there is some very good information and history that can be exploited for documentary film purposes. Doug, that's your job.
Thank you, Tim, for that.
What I learned was beware the superficial statement. It's great that we're looking back, but we also need to look forward, and that book, The Color of Law, incriminates my profession, which is city planning. So one of the superficial statements that's being made right now, and is actually a force for policy on the city council, is that R1 zoning was racially based and needs to be dismantled. So you think about what people are implying when they say that. They say the intention is to do something for communities of color.
Yes, another question over here.
I just want to point out a few things. I came here in 1974 from Washington, D.C. When I came here, my first thought was like, where are all the black people? There's no black people here. In 74, I was involved in housing policy. And it was very clear at that point in time that the city of Berkeley was losing its socioeconomic diversity because of the real estate market was driving prices up to the point it was forcing people out of their houses. And if you're not aware, the houses around San Pablo Park back then sold for $300,000, maybe $400,000. Now they're over $1 million. And if you think this doesn't apply to us, I will tell you in 1995, when I was coaching youth soccer and involved in youth soccer, I had parents who told me they would not allow their child to practice at San Pablo Park because there are black people in the neighborhood. And we just went like, yeah, then your kid's not going to play.
When new families move in, we make an effort to reach out to them. However, very often the response is ghosting, where an invitation is made to come to our house and have a neighborhood party, and they don't even respond.
Are your neighbors black, or you're just talking general
Yes,
neighbors? Anybody and everybody, they don't want to come to your house. You don't. But it's true that a lot of people are very distant and detached, but also distrustful and racist, frankly. I live in an apartment building where my white neighbor, I guess thought I was a threat to her. It was so disconcerting, I cried. I rang her doorbell, she's new to our building, and I saw some keys on the floor outside her door, so I thought, oh, she must have dropped her keys. So I rang the bell, and I'm just standing, and she's at the people, and she's yelling at me, get away from my door. I'm like, what? Get back from my door. And you guys know what a Karen is, right? Okay, this is a Karen. Get away from my door, I'm gonna call the police. I'm like, what? What is wrong with you? I'm trying to get away from the door, I'm gonna call the police. I'm like, okay, never mind. I go upstairs to my apartment, I cried, and I wrote a note. How many black people have credentialed themselves before? Anybody here? Raise your hand. Every day? Okay. As a black person, we do this thing where we have to credential ourselves. Dear neighbor, I am not a threat to you. My name is Moni Law. I'm a graduate of UC Berkeley class of '82. Also attended University of San Francisco Law School, where I obtained my Juris Doctorate degree. I practiced law for 25 years in the state of Washington, and I have resided in this building for 8 years. Have a good day. Put it under her door. She knocks on the door. I'm so sorry. I thought you were trying to get into my apartment, and I didn't even touch your doorknob. I didn't come close to your door. I don't know what's wrong with you. She was a Cal student. Young white girl. And it's happened at Berkeley more recently as well. We could tell you stories all day long of what UC Berkeley students tell me that they endure. They go to a house party, there's a student from Britain that's with them, a black student, and they're told they can't come in. White students come right behind them. All the black students are told, no, you can't come in. There's a fraternity on Fraternity Road. So constant harassment, anti-blackness, being ghosted, maybe also in the neighborhood. We need to get over that and do all of what you do, and the reading group is raise awareness. Anti-racism is what you want to push for, and make Berkeley more diverse. So thank you all for Black History Month celebration.